Hey everyone, welcome to Millennium Computers online 5-minute tutorial series. Today's course is going to take a quick look at the brand new and improved graphing functionality available as of version 4.3.16. Now keep in mind guys, there are a ton of new full-length training videos available to cover all the new features, including how to share pinned reports and dashboards, the new dashboard and graphing functionality, and a detailed look at the administrative component required to set things up correctly. This course is just aiming to give you a brief overview of the changes at the end user level in terms of creating a basic graph. So I've created a basic data set here, and I want to remind you that if we're working in any FAST application, the functionality is going to work the same way. However, in some applications, it might require more setup work, and that usually involves using your advanced options. So if you're not totally familiar on how to use advanced options to prep that data for graphing, check out some of those dedicated tutorials, or as always, feel free to send us a quick email, and we can certainly arrange and coordinate some custom training for your organization or your department. So once we have a data set refined to something we'd like, now I'm working today in FAST human resource reporting, but this can be used in any and every FAST application. I've used my advanced options to turn my list of employee IDs into a count. A count is going to allow me to have a numeric value to plot on my graph, and that's a really important step that we'll see in just a second. Once I'm ready to get going, I can click on my graph button. Now I've already assigned this a title, and that's probably going to be your first step. But the next thing I can do is take a look at the different graphing types. There are bar charts, either vertical or horizontal. There are pie charts, and there are scattered line charts. To start things off, let's pick an X and Y axis to begin to get a visual of what we're actually doing here. Under the y-axis, you're only going to see numeric values. That's why it's really important to have at least one field that is numeric. In something like Fast Finance or Fast Budget and Forecasting, that's pretty easy because most of the data elements are numeric. In something like HR or Fast Student Reporting, you're typically going to get groupings of IDs. We want to turn those into a count if we'd like to plot them on a graph. Now, when we get started, FAST is automatically going to start working at creating this graph for us. Let's give our axes a title to give it a little bit more context. Every time we make a change, FAST is going to automatically update the graph for us. Now, there's a couple things we can do here. Let's take a look at some of the options. One is I can have this as a standard vertical bar chart, or I can take a look at it as a horizontal bar chart. I could also choose to take a look at this as a pie chart. There's my pie chart, and maybe I want to see this as a donut chart instead. So you get the idea here. There are a ton of different options, and it's good to play around with all of them to see really what the best visual representation of this data set is going to be. Let me show you something else that we can do. If I don't want to see my labels across the top, click on the gear button. I can change a few things here, such as label direction and legend position. This has now given me a top position. Maybe I'd like to see this on the left-hand side. Let's take a look at a scattered line chart. So you get the idea. Let's go back to the bar chart, and I'd like to add another value. There's two options when adding additional values on the same graph. I can either choose this button and click Add Additional Y-axis. This would allow me to plot two values side by side. This is great for comparative graphs. I can also choose a value to group by. I'm going to choose gender, and the options here are stacked, which is my default, or side by side, which would split up the detail in two columns. I think I prefer the stacked. Let's take a look at this as a horizontal bar chart. And I think I'd like to relocate that legend back to the top. Now, if we're happy with this and ready to save, just go ahead and click Create Pinned Report. Now we have to give this a title, and FAST is automatically going to choose the label Make Graph Available on Dashboard, and we can also choose to make this available as a grid if we'd like to actually include both on one or more dashboards. We can also choose a description, and the description is linked to the pinned report, which is what we're saving now. We can also choose to display that description on export if a user decides to export that detail to PDF or Excel. If I happen to be an administrator, I can also choose one or more of the sharing options. And when you're ready, just go ahead and click Save. That was a quick introduction to how to create a graph in the new and improved FAST.